Joining me now is Christina Pushaw. She is the press secretary of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who we affectionately call Heavy D on this show. Christina, are you guys hiding all the dead bodies?
Well, I feel like the only thing that's being hidden here is that Florida is one of the lowest in the country in terms of COVID prevalence right now. It wasn't the case 3-4 weeks ago. I was getting a dozen media inquiries a day, not from Florida media, mind you, but from national media in Washington, D.C. and New York, asking how does Governor DeSantis feel about all these COVID cases in Florida? The same question rehashed over and over again. Now it's radio silence from the same reporters who had been so obsessed with Florida a month ago.
It's weird. How could the experts get everything so wrong? I mean, we were told everything that a state like New York has done. We were told that is the path to getting through this virus and beating the pandemic. And yet their numbers in New York and New Jersey and California are awful, and Florida's are not. What did we miss?
Well, I'm glad you brought up New York and New Jersey as examples because despite the lockdowns, despite the mask mandates, the forced masking of 2-year-olds in New York, their governor's new policy to stop COVID, which is, absolutely insane. We don't do any of that. We don't have vaccine passports here. You don't have to show your papers to go to a restaurant or to go to the gym. We didn't enact any of that despite the enormous pressure from the media, from the Biden administration, from anywhere you can imagine. Governor DeSantis stood up and said, no, this is madness. We're not going to have a biomedical security state here. He used that phrase. So now let's look at the numbers, because you mentioned the numbers in New York. Well, per capita, considering the population, New York actually has a higher rate of COVID deaths than Florida for the whole pandemic. And keep in mind, COVID, as we know, it really affects older people a lot more seriously than it affects younger people. And Florida is known as retirement destination. We do have a big proportion of senior citizens here compared to New York and compared to many other states. Looking at the rate of COVID deaths, I think it's important to look at the age-adjusted figures, and Florida is one of the lowest when you look at that.
Christina, I obviously know you're going to be a bit partial to the man for obvious reasons, but I can't tell you how much I love that he plays offense, that he protects the people of his state, and I've been extremely frustrated with other Republican governors who will not do the same. Why won't they do the same?
Well, I can't really speak to what other governors are doing. I know Governor DeSantis is focused on Florida, on protecting the people of our state, as you mentioned, and I do think it is setting an example for the rest of the country. And what I mean by that is he stands up and says things that should be common sense, that should not be controversial in any way. Like, for example, you should not be cut off from the ability to make a living and to feed your family because of a personal medical decision. That is inhumane, the fact that this is happening all over the country and that this is being demanded by the Biden administration. It is despicable. He stands up against that for common sense, for medical freedom, and, for the American dream, allowing people to make a living. So this is just, it's like upside down world. How on earth can that be controversial? How can that be divisive? He's absolutely right. Obviously, Biden is the one who has made vaccines into such a divisive issue by pushing these mandates, which are unconstitutional, unlawful. Florida has vowed to fight them. And I'm sure Governor DeSantis will do that. And I do hope it sets an example for the rest of the country.
He seems to get under Joe Biden's administration. He seems to get under their skin so badly. Constantly he's bringing up Florida this and Florida that. Even in his rambling comments, I remember on the September 11th anniversary, Florida somehow got brought up. What is it about you guys in Florida that bothers Joe Biden so much?
Well, I think it's harder to find a greater contrast to Joe Biden's incompetence, to Joe Biden's just, lack of any understanding of where he is and what he's supposed to be doing as president. And we have an extremely competent governor here. We have a governor who knows what it means to be a leader, who does not defer to bureaucrats on everything, who makes his own decisions based on the data and based on the information that he has. I think that is obviously what any leader should do. It's something that Biden is incapable of doing, and he's proven that time and again. And so I think naturally Biden feels intimidated for whatever reason. And so therefore, that's why you can't watch a White House press conference these days without some snide reference to Florida, whether from the press secretary or for the president himself. And it's just, he can't take responsibility for anything. He's grasping at straws for people to blame, and he has settled on our governor.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.